Now at 7, a fall from grace.
Former Mayor Catherine Pugh charged for the alleged scheme involving her children's books.
There are many victims in this case. The victims are all of us.
Nearly 7 months after high-profile raids, this new development yet again rocking City Hall.
We're all heartbroken and completely disappointed.
And the people Pugh once served.
It's a shame that she chose to be so dishonest and give Baltimore a bad name.
The charges, the potential prison time, and what's next.
WJZ News at 7 starts right now.
Live from Television Hill, this is WJZ News at 7.
Catherine Pugh indicted. The former mayor of Baltimore hit with 11 federal charges, accused of enriching herself using children's books. Now, if convicted, she faces more than a century behind bars. Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Ritter.
And I'm Nicole Baker. We all know this indictment comes 7 months after the FBI raided her home, offices, and other locations, all linked to their investigation into her business dealings. WJZ has team coverage of these new developments.
And we'll begin with WJZ investigator Mike Helgren live at the federal courthouse, where Pugh will make her first court appearance less than 24 hours from now. Mike.
Rick and Nicole, some of these children's books had so many grammatical and spelling errors they couldn't even use them in city classrooms. The former mayor faces 175 years in federal prison. She's not likely to serve that much time. She is expected to turn herself in to U.S. Marshals, and no comment on any possible plea deal from the U.S. attorney tonight. Federal authorities laid out an 11-count indictment against former Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh, unsealed this morning, that could land her in prison for decades.
There are many victims in this case. The victims are all of us, the taxpayers and the people of Baltimore, who expect and deserve integrity from their public officials.
Pugh is accused of selling hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of her Healthy Holly children's books to enrich her political campaign and herself. According to the indictment, she lied on her tax returns in 2016, reporting $31,000 in income when she really made more than $320,000.
Mr. Herr, can you talk about the work that went into piecing all this together, because this took years?
They do take time because there are a lot of different puzzle pieces, a lot of different payments, and a lot of different people in order to interview in order to try to fit all the puzzle pieces together.
Former Pugh aide Gary Brown Jr. is one of 2 of the former mayor's associates to enter guilty pleas. Federal authorities allege Brown helped the former mayor funnel Healthy Holly proceeds to her political campaign, disguising where the cash came from.
Is there more to come in this?
I'm not at liberty to comment at this point.
The indictment caps years of investigative work, including federal raids on City Hall and Pugh's home, which she may have to forfeit.
Ms. Pugh violated that trust and abused her position. The interests she prioritized were her own.
This is a tragedy and the last thing that our city needs.
And Pugh's attorney Steve Silverman declined to comment today. He says he'll do his talking in the courtroom. Pugh faces a judge here at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Reporting live at 7 at the federal courthouse, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
All right, Mike, thank you. Well, City Hall certainly shaken by this news. I mean, many were expecting it over the past 7 months after those FBI raids.
Paul Gessler continues our team coverage tonight with what city leaders are saying about all of this.
We are a city that is facing a crisis in trust with our citizens.
News of Catherine Pugh's indictments dropped right before Wednesday's Board of Estimates meeting at City Hall, and word spread quickly.
I'm disappointed, and like a lot of people, I'm hurt.
It's a sad day for Baltimore. We are here now to move the city forward.
At his weekly media briefing, Mayor Jack Young read a prepared statement when asked about the indictment.
We're all heartbroken and completely disappointed in today's news. I pray for former Mayor Pugh, and I'm focused on helping our city to heal.
Governor Hogan, in April, ordered the state prosecutor to open an investigation into Pugh's business dealings. After this federal indictment, Hogan said, in part, it is completely unacceptable anytime a public official violates the public trust. He went on to say, we will continue to fight hard to root out corruption and wrongdoing wherever it takes place.
For it to happen in the midst of crime that is unyielding in Baltimore City, on the heels of years of having crime, also when you had another mayor now taken out of office because of corruption, that shakes the fabric of the trust between community and its elected officials.
Young took over for Pugh in April when she began her leave of absence. He He again reiterated he did not have any idea of Pugh's alleged scheme. Wednesday, he said he was upset at the allegations in the indictment.
Anything that puts a black eye on the city makes us all angry, just like murders make me angry.
Scott and Young are both running for mayor. Other candidates released statements on Wednesday's indictment, including Tharu Vignaraja, who called it a, quote, hard day for Baltimore. TJ Smith called it an unfortunate embarrassment. To read their statements and more, go to WJZ.com. For now, reporting at City Hall, I'm Paul Gessler for WJZ.
Well, it's not just city leaders responding to all of this. The people who former Mayor Pugh served, they're also weighing in tonight. Many of them saying they're disappointed, they're frustrated, and they feel betrayed.
I think that's the greatest travesty ever committed by a politician, because the children are our future. So why use them for graft?
She get what she deserved, and just like everybody else, you do wrong, you got to pay for it.
Anytime corruption is within the government, it's something we want to kind of stamp out, and that's on the national stage right now.
Well, when announcing the charges against Pugh, the U.S. Attorney for Maryland noted that there are many victims in this case, including taxpayers and the people of Baltimore.
We wanted to take a look back at how we got here. In January 2011, then state senator and UMMS board member Catherine Pugh formed the Healthy Holly Company, publishing a series of children's books. Now, she took the oath of office as mayor of Baltimore 5 years later in December of 2016. And as mayor, Pugh continued her book deals. Now, that is until March 13th when it went public. She resigned from the board days later. Then on April 25th, the FBI raided her home, her offices, and other locations linked to their investigation into her business dealings. And 1 week later, on May 2nd, she resigned as mayor. Stay with WJZ for complete coverage of the indictment of Catherine Pugh. We're going to bring you all the developments as we learn them here on air and online at WJZ.com.
This is WJZ News at 5.
Former Mayor Catherine Pugh pleads guilty to several of the charges against her. Hello, everyone. I'm Nicole Baker.
And I'm Rick Ritter.
The charges Catherine Pugh pled guilty to could carry a maximum sentence of up to 35 years in prison.
And right now, she is free until sentencing in February. We have team coverage tonight. Paul Gessler has reaction, but let's start with WJZ investigator Mike Helgren. He is live downtown with details on this plea deal. Mike.
Rick and Nicole, Pugh admitted to stunning abuses of power, defrauding charities to line her own pockets for her own personal gain. She's likely to serve far, far less than that 35-year maximum, but it will all be up to the judge at sentencing. Do you have anything to say to the citizens of Baltimore, Mayor Pugh?
Anything to say, Mayor Pugh?
Disgraced former Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh had nothing to say after pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government, and 2 counts of tax evasion. It's part of a plea deal with federal prosecutors. She admitted a scheme to get hundreds of thousands of dollars using sales of her children's book series, Healthy Holly. Pugh admitted receiving money from the University of Maryland medical system for books that were later donated to Baltimore City schools, then resold to other organizations. She pocketed the money to pay for her mayoral campaign and a new house. She listened quietly in court as the charges were read, answering with few words and sometimes speaking so softly the judge had to ask her to repeat herself. The U.S. Attorney.
She betrayed the trust placed in her by the public. The city of Baltimore faces many pressing issues, and we need dedication and professionalism from our leaders, not fraud and corruption.
The former mayor disguised money she was receiving from Healthy Holly that she gave to her mayoral campaign because she feared she'd appear desperate if the public learned that she was funding her own run for mayor. She kept no personal bank account and used business accounts for Healthy Holly LLC. Pugh admitted getting $100,000 from a local businessman for a fancy home in Ashburton. She said she needed it to entertain once she became mayor.
And it is absolutely not what we need from our leaders in order to address the significant problems that Baltimore City is facing.
Mayor Pugh. Now, most of us would not be allowed to be chauffeured right up to the front steps of the federal courthouse for security reasons, but the former mayor was today. She did have to surrender her passport. Live at the federal courthouse, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
Mike, thank you. Today's plea solidifies the concerns of a breach of public trust. WJZ is live. Paul Gessler actually spoke to an ethics expert and citizens today about this fracture and what it means now. Paul?
Hi, Nicole. Yes, according to polls at the time, Catherine Pugh did well with voters who wanted ethics and integrity in office. She was that candidate. Today, many of those voters say they feel betrayed.
Indicate a betrayal of the public trust.
The U.S. attorney minced no words Wednesday in describing some of the crimes to which former Mayor Catherine Pugh pleaded guilty Thursday.
I feel like we're almost used to all this scandal in Baltimore. Like it's kind of part of our city at this point.
Yeah.
Outside Pugh's former campaign office on Charles Street, citizens talked about the erosion of public trust.
She knew what she was doing, and she didn't think she was going to get caught doing this.
I feel like the people who still had trust, I personally don't put a lot of stock in what people in high places of power say, because absolute power corrupts, absolutely.
It ain't about getting rich, it's about helping the people. You know, you gotta help the people.
With any scandals that happen, you're gonna lose trust and you need to gain it back.
And really, quite frankly, she's stupid. And I think this is the case with a lot of politicians.
University of Baltimore ethics professor Fred Guy says trust is important for public officials.
I think it matters a lot. You know, we teach our children not to lie, not to cheat, not to steal. And she's done all of it.
Some ethics reform has passed since Pugh's scandal broke, requiring disclosures of board memberships and business interests. But Guy says morality cannot be legislated.
You can have as much law as you can possibly put on the books, and there's going to be some loopholes, there's going to be people who find the cracks and fall through it.
Now, one takeaway from the people we spoke with today, they say ethics and trust will be on the ballot during April's mayoral election. For now, reporting live in North Baltimore, Paul Gessler for WJZ.
We'll stay with WJZ for complete coverage of Catherine Pugh's guilty plea. We will bring you the very latest developments as we get them.